Well, hi, this is Jay Arthur, author of Lean Six Sigma Demystified, Lean Six Sigma for Hospitals and the QI Macros. And this month we're talking about how do we fall out of love with the Job of the Hut version of Six Sigma and embrace the Princess Leia version of Lean and Six Sigma. Now, I want you to consider that maybe we ought to figure out how to hack Lean and Six Sigma. Right? How do we get rid of all the stuff that people don't need to know who don't work in service industry, that don't work in manufacturing? Right? Because guess what? You know, most people work in service industries, and so what we want to do is find a way, right, to teach them only the tools they need. Only the tools they need to solve most of their problems. Now, people don't like the phrase hacking, and so if you're just watching this, you know, hacking is, from a software perspective, is a good thing. It's about writing really powerful code really quickly. And so that's a good hack, right? Now the bad hacks are people from foreign countries, you know, hacking into Sony or databases or WikiLeaks, or that's the bad kind of hacking. The good kind of hacking is how do we take something and simplify and streamline it so much that it'll rock and roll when we roll it out, all right? And so Zuckerberg, you know, says this is about producing better products and services more quickly, right? And so I think that's a great way to look at it. Now, one of the things that I've noticed is I went out and I looked at all the best-selling Six Sigma books, and they're all mainly about teaching you how to put together a Job of the Hut, wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling implementation of Six Sigma, big quality management system. Now, we might want to arrive there at some point, but if you try and eat the elephant all at once, most companies choke on it, or at least half of them do. All right, so how would we go about this differently? Now, the other thing that I find in these books is, oh my gosh, right? It's like there's a hodgepodge of tools all thrown out in random ways and orders and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I see lots of people's improvement projects, and they don't know how to connect the dots going through their improvement story. So how would we hack Six Sigma? All right, so earlier this year I put out a video about, you know, going on a raw data diet. So the first thing we need is some raw data about defects, mistakes, and errors, right? And if you have the raw data, or cycle times, right? Because in service industries, you care about reducing cycle times, right? So the first thing we could do is we could take that data, and if you have that raw data, and it's going to be probably in some sort of Excel spreadsheet, then we can take pivot tables and summarize that. And from that summarized data, then we can build a control chart, all right? So, and, you know, control charts are, software is so affordable, like the QI macros. If you're drawn line bar charts, which most people are, right? Line, bar, and pie charts show up so much, right? The three stooges of charting that, you know, you're going to have this to monitor your improvement later. So guess what? Why don't we just start from a control chart? Now you have two things we're going to track here, defects and deviation. If we're going defects, you're going to need some Pareto charts. And sometimes I find that you actually have to take the big bar down and look at a little bit more deeply to come into what is actually the real problem. And so if you're counting defects here, this better be type of defects, right? And this big bar right here becomes the head of your fish. I can't tell you how many people have a Pareto chart, but the head of their fish has nothing whatsoever to do with that. No, wrong, right? We have to be having the data. So all of these little data points fall into that. And then out of this, we come up with a problem statement. Then we can do some root cause analysis, right? And then the other thing you're going to need to know here is you're going to have some sort of a matrix of countermeasures and action plans and whatever. So you're going to have to know how to use some sort of matrix, but that's really easy to do. And QI macros have fill-in-the-blank templates for all this stuff. And then, what do you have to do? Well, then you have to come back and see if, yes, indeed, we reduced our defects. Too easy. Too easy. But then you're going to have to use a control chart to monitor it, because most companies fail at the control phase of DMAIC. They forget to put a system in place to track that, and if they don't track it and monitor it and correct it, it'll just drift right back up to its old thing. I can't tell you how many people call me up and say, well, we made an improvement and then it fell back. Made an improvement, fell back. Made an improvement, fell back. That's rework. That's rework. What a waste of damn time, okay? So this control chart, Pareto chart, fishbone, countermeasures, that's how we're going to handle defects. Now, what if we're measuring something like cycle time? Well, then you're going to need, instead of this, you're going to need some sort of histogram. And cycle time in some sort of service industry is, 0 to say, let's say 15 minutes or something. And so, and this is non-normal data. So what? Ignore that. We want to move this away. How much time do you want to spend in an emergency room? 0. How much time do you want to wait for, some sort of heart medication? 0. How long do you want to wait for food at your local eatery? 0, right? Yeah, unless I just want to hang out and talk, I'll go someplace that's slow and I can hang out and talk, right? So what do we want to do? We want to move this thing this way so it looks more like that. And we can do some root cause analysis, right? So if our cycle time, if our upper spec limit for cycle time, we've got some stuff out here that's problematic, we could do some root cause analysis on that, right? X% of our cycle times miss the mark, miss the commitment that are being asked for by our customers. We could do some root cause analysis, come in here, and then figure out how we're going to reduce that, right? Now, if you reduce cycle time, very often when you're reducing things, you'll reduce variation simultaneously, all right? But then we're going to want a control chart to monitor this. Now, most of the time we can do this with one chart, an XMR chart, right? Now there's a lot of other charts. Do you need other charts? No, you just need to know defect rate or something about cycle time. That's it, all right? Then a Pareto chart, maybe a histogram with an upper spec limit. How to do some root cause analysis. If you can do this analysis here, you can find the right people to be on the team. Far too many companies let teams figure out what to do. They go grab people and get them together, and then they try and brainstorm solutions. No, start with some data, get to a chart, do some analysis, and then, and only then, well, this little bar here, who should be on that team? This little bit of your histogram, who should be on that team? Does this make sense? We could hack Six Sigma down to a handful of tools, right? Pivot tables, control chart, Pareto chart, histogram, fishbone, matrix of some kind. That's it. All right, and then if we do that, I call this will solve most of the uncomplicated problems, and it'll tend to simplify all of the more complicated ones to the point where you can go, maybe that's not so complicated after all. If you get beyond here, by all means, go learn some other tools. But if you get good at this, it'll be a lot easier to learn those other tools. So that's how we're going to hack Six Sigma, right? Instead of all of the stuff we teach you, do you need a project charter? This is a bulletproof business case for change. If you show this to a leadership team and they don't say, stand up and go, let's fix that, you got the wrong leadership team. Get a new job, all right? So if you can tell a good improvement story where you've connected all the dots, things will just work out, all right? The leadership team will go, God, we need to spend some time and energy on that. And who should we put on that? Well, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so know all about that. Let's free them up for a little bit to go do the root cause analysis. But root cause analysis isn't going to take you more than a couple of hours if you've narrowed your focus appropriately. And then countermeasures very often are procedural. They don't require money, right? You don't need exotic, manufacturing machinery or forklifts or God knows what. You just need to change your process a little bit. And very often that'll fix a lot of the problems. So that's how we're going to hack Six Sigma. Now, we've talked about this. Do you want the Jabba the Hutt version or do you want the Princess Leia version of how to go about this? Who are we going to fall in love with? And I think the future belongs to the Princess Leia version. All right? And then next week, we're going to talk about how do we take all of this, put it together into one common framework and give it a name so that everybody knows what it is. And that name is going to be pretty simple because I stole it from the software people. It's Agile, Lean, Six Sigma. So next video, we're going to talk about Agile, Lean, Six Sigma. What is that, right? Well, it's what I've just shown you. Hacking Lean, hacking Six Sigma. We are taking what we know and simplifying and streamlining it down to something that everyone can do. And everyone can do it without weeks-long training, right? I teach people this stuff in a half a day using the QI macros. This makes sense? All right, so it's a different way of looking at the problem, and nobody wants Six Sigma. What they want is the results they think they will get. If you figure out how to give them the results they want without all the hassle, without all the nonsense, and give them tools like QI macros, which will simplify doing all of that, right? The new data mining wizard will build an entire improvement story from raw data to control chart to Pareto charts to fishbone. It'll do it for you with a click of a button, all right? So how do we get out of this crazy overwhelm that I think everybody feels about Six Sigma, and they get terrified of the math and the formulas and blah, 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 blah. Did I mention hypothesis testing? No, we don't need that. All right? Maybe at some point we will, but most of our problems can be solved with these few tools. All right, so I'm Jay Arthur. That's how we're going to hack Six Sigma. And next time we're going to talk about what is Agile, Lean, Six Sigma. Well, it's hacking Lean and hacking Six Sigma and a little bit of structure, right? Some values and some strategies that are going to help us dramatically improve how we deliver results, because that's all that anybody cares about is the result. Don't forget that. Results, right? Bottom line, profit, productivity, enhancing result. If you can't do that, your Six Sigma department will be gone very shortly. And that's how that works. And I see it all too often. So, if we have a 1 sigma failure rate of Six Sigma, how do we get that to 0 fail? 1 sigma, over half of Six Sigma things fail. How do we get that to 0? Right? I think we can get it to 0, and I think we can do it without a lot of hassle. Anyway, I'm Jay Arthur. That's how we're going to hack Six Sigma. And in the next video, we'll talk about Agile.